Hey everyone, welcome to Ordinary Voices podcast. If you're new, thanks for checking out another episode. If you've been here before, this one's a special episode. It's episode 7. We've been doing this now for, like 6 months, going on 7 months. But this one's special because I've never done a solo episode before. I guess technically the pilot is like 5 or 6 minutes long. It's the first thing I ever released for the podcast. I guess that was solo, but I didn't show my face because I was just nervous and I don't know. So this is the first recording where it's just me, no one else. The last 6 episodes, there's been someone on a Zoom call with me and, I asked them questions, but this one's just me. We're going to talk about, quite a few things, but we'll get into that in just a sec. Another reason why this one's a special episode is because I'm actually in Australia right now. I've been over here for a couple days. I've still got probably about another week to go with this trip that I'm doing for work. Maybe we'll talk about that in this episode. Maybe not. But here is a couple things that I want to talk about in episode 7. Number 1, what this year looked like for me personally. Number 2, why I started the podcast. I talked about this a lot on Instagram and in the first couple episodes, like the pilot, and I definitely hit on it in like episode 1, episode 2. The episode with ostrich running, I want to say that was episode 5 or maybe episode 4, one of the two. We talked about what this podcast is a lot in that episode, so definitely want to check out that conversation if you haven't. But we're going to talk about what the year looked like for me, number 1. Number 2, why I started the podcast. Number 3, has the last 6 months been a fail? Number 4, what's the next year going to look like? What's 2026 going to look like for the Ordinary Voices podcast? And number 5, probably some other stuff. Nothing in particular, but I'm sure once I get going, once I get rolling, I'll be able to talk about a few things. So we're going to fix that before it falls. We should be good now. I have my phone sitting on 2 of these stacked like this with 2 bottles sticking straight up as support because, I'm in a hotel. So I guess we'll start out with number 1, what this year looked like for me. And I'm living in Austin, Texas. Me and Maddie live there. We've been there for, year and a half. Yeah, year and a half. And from January through October. I was working at a job that just wasn't really for me. I struggled with it a lot, just trying to balance life and doing a good job and being passionate about my job. And it just wasn't really working for me. So I would say like basically starting right after Christmas last year, so December of 24, I started looking for other jobs in Austin, remote, etc. And I had so many like interviews that I did. I think I counted after I finally took this new job that I have now. I submitted well over 60 applications just like on LinkedIn and different company sites. And there was like probably 4 or 5 real opportunities where I was like a final candidate and just fell through for a lot of reasons. And the job that I have now, I'm glad that none of the ones prior worked out because this one's a really, really good fit, which I guess I will talk about in just a sec. But I would say probably around May, April, there just was like a big piece of enjoyment missing. And I think I must have been like searching for something, like for like a creative outlet, because I was just basically all work with very little play in my life. And so that was, around May. I went home to Marquette for, I think it was like just about 2 weeks, and got some time off of work, but also just like got out of the city and life slowed down a little bit, and I actually had some time to think for the first time in like a very long time. And the idea of this podcast jumped in my head. And if I go back all the way to like 2021, it was like during COVID, I had an idea of a podcast. I remember I made a website. I think I recorded something and put it out myself, but I was terrified of the thought of somebody seeing that I was doing that, because it's cringy and weird, and I just did not have the confidence then to do it. And so now in 2025, the idea popped in my head again. And basically it was just like something I really like to do, which is talk to people, get to know them, get to know other people's stories, really just root for people. Like that's something I take a lot of pride in. And I don't know, it took a couple days, and I was like, how hard is it really to get people to talk about themselves, to put it simply? Like, not in like a selfish way or in an ego way, but how hard is it to like get people to talk about things that they've experienced? There's no prep involved. I have to come up with some questions, and that's about it. So I realized pretty quick it was very doable, and I would say within like 2 weeks I put it together. The kind of funny thing is that like now I feel pretty confident in this. I'm doing an episode by myself, so I don't have a whole lot of hesitation anymore. But probably the first like week of like building out posts, building the Instagram, and recording the pilot, I did not tell Maddie about it for like over a week, because I just was just not confident in it. So it had already been a week, and I had made the Instagram, already recorded the pilot, whatever. And whenever I worked on it and like worked on stuff in our apartment, I like would hide it from her. I like didn't want her to see what I was doing, because I was like, it's kind of silly, like the idea of building a podcast and putting yourself on camera and putting yourself out there. That's kind of it's a scary thought for the person doing it, but like your partner, that could be something where they're like, oh God, why do they want to do that? But once I told her, she was super supportive about it, and she's super sweet and super supportive, and she never makes me feel silly when I talk about it, because I have some, I think, realistic but kind of big goals for this. Not like huge, like I don't really ever see this being a thing where I don't have to have a real job, but at some point I think this is something that could be profitable. But all that to say is, in May, because of the job that wasn't really working for me, there just was definitely something was missing, and I thought of this podcast and put it together in 2 weeks, and the goal has kind of been the same. If you want to hear like what my original thoughts were, go back to the pilot, which was 6 months ago. It's on the spot. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. Go listen to the pilot and like listen to my original words. I definitely was not this relaxed talking into a mic, but it is what it is now. But I think the message and the goal still stays the same for me now that it's going on 7 months in. I just want to bring people on, and now it's kind of getting to the point where I want to try to get more strangers on that or on the podcast. I've met a lot of people from Instagram actually that like are kind of fired up to get on the podcast and talk about themselves, or not talk about themselves, but like share a story, share about maybe like the brand that they've built up, or like running goals or whatever it might be. So I'm excited to do that in 2026. But yeah, I think the message and goals have stayed the same. I want people to come on, and they don't have to be crazy high achievers. Like, I don't, there's a lot of people I know that are high achievers, but it's not like I know like he's crazy success stories of like millionaires or celebrities or anything. Like, in my eyes, everyone that's on is just like a quote unquote ordinary person who is doing something cool or maybe failing miserably, and they're willing to talk about it. That's kind of what I want this to turn into, because it's just relatable, really. And the more relatable something is, I think, the more people listen to it, the more people are like, oh yeah, like I'd hop on an episode and talk about something. And think of it like if you're a guest and you come on and we have a conversation, like it's just like a little piece of your life that's getting documented and obviously shared with other people, but something for you to go back and listen to, like 5 years from now, and be like, oh yeah, I was really struggling at that time, and I did this, and it was a really big win for me at that time. So I think it's beneficial for both of us, the guest and myself as the host. But yeah, I think that's mainly why I started the podcast. There was something missing for me. I think it's something that was very doable in 6-7 months in. I think the goals that I have for this are still very doable. It's just a matter of like being consistent, still putting energy in, getting content out. Episodes really aren't too hard to get out. It's just like I want to make sure that there's still quality and people are getting something out of it, because I could probably get on this microphone like every week and just blab and talk about literally nothing, and technically that's an episode, but that's not beneficial, or you guys, the listeners, get absolutely nothing out of that. So I'm trying to make every episode like meaningful, and something for the guest to be proud of, and something for myself to be proud of, and something for the listeners to enjoy turning on. And just it could be background noise, or maybe you're really listening to it. I try to keep the episode short, but yeah, that's been the goal. That still is the goal. And I guess I kind of talked about it a little bit, but number 3 on the list of things to talk about is, do I see the podcast being a fail over the last 7 episodes? If I look back at the goals that I set in June or July, if you go on the Instagram, I've done a couple updates, but if you scroll down, you'll see a post, and it's, long-term and short-term goals, or short-term, long-term goals of Ordinary Voices. And a lot of it was follower-based. So I think long-term, I should have pulled it up, but I didn't. On Instagram, the long-term goal was like 500 followers on Instagram by like about this time. Like, I think 6 months of the podcast, I wanted like 500 followers. And followers aren't everything, but in my eyes, I think the more people that follow the Instagram, the more like views and listens you get on an episode. So like that's my thought process. I don't really care about the amount of followers, but I think in order to grow the podcast, you need followers. We definitely did not hit 500 in the 7 months that we've been doing this. Today is December 6th in Australia, and I guess it's also now December 6th in the US too. And we have like 205 followers, which is great. It's actually been growing more the last week and a half or so than it did for a couple months. We were stuck at like 175 for like 2.5 months. But then in terms of like the YouTube and the Spotify, where I post the episodes, I'm happy with that too. I think the YouTube at this point has like 13 subscribers, which that's not a crazy number, but it could be 0. I want to say Spotify is, maybe I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, 29 followers on Spotify, which, I mean, I'm very happy with that. Surprisingly, most of the views and listens are on YouTube, not Spotify, which I actually was kind of surprised by that as the year went on. I expected more people on Spotify because I didn't really think people used YouTube. I love YouTube. That's why I did it on YouTube, offer it on YouTube, but I didn't really think people were going to listen. Oops, I accidentally am playing episode 6 with Timmy Camps. Yeah, 13 on YouTube, 29 on Spotify. And like I'm pretty happy with the listens too. Like the YouTube's up to around like 20 episodes or 20 views, maybe about that, maybe a little more. 20 listens or views per episode on YouTube. And the Spotify is, let's see. We started off hot. The first episode had like almost 100 plays. Episode 2 was like 60. Episode 3 was 32, and then we're like right around 20 for episode 4, 5, and 6, which I'm happy with that. Like it could be 0. Each episode there's a play from me, there's a play from my mom, and the guest. So like there's 3 guaranteed views every episode. I'm okay with more than 3 because that means other people are listening too. So I wouldn't say it's been a fail. I wish that it took off a little bit more, but at the same time, like I'm doing this all on my own and kind of figuring it out as I go. So I mean, I'll take any growth really. I'm happy with the people that do listen to this and the people that have been following the podcast basically since June when we took off. So no, definitely not a fail. I'm hoping for a bigger 2026. Speaking of which, we'll move on to number 4 of things to talk about this episode. What do we got in 2026 for the podcast? We're definitely still going to have 1 episode a month. That's just easy for me. Maybe we'll feel dangerous at some point in the year and maybe we'll pump out 2 during a month. I think that was like a goal that I have. I think I have a post about that. That's scheduled in the next week. But if not, I'm saying it now here in this episode. We're shooting for at least 13 episodes in 2026. So 1 month, I'm going to have 2 episodes. And I think that's doable. But one a month is kind of perfect. Like this podcast, this thing is supposed to be pretty manageable for me. And if it's not, then it's just not really enjoyable to do because it takes up a lot of time. At this point, really, I get nothing out of it other than I enjoy doing it, but like there's no money, there's no like the engagement of people following on Instagram is so piss poor that like, I'm solely doing this because I enjoy it, which is totally okay. Like that's not to say that the people on Instagram aren't engaging or like I'm not appreciative of like the 200 people that do follow because I could post something and lose 5 followers per post or something. So I'm very happy with the 200, but needless to say, like I'm not gaining a whole lot by putting out episodes at this point. I hope that changes in 2026. Damn it. My phone fell again. But yeah, I hope in 2026, like there's a little bit more out of this, which is like, I think so doable. Like it's truly as simple as this. There's so many people, especially in Marquette, more so. I know that there's listeners who don't know where that is, but Marquette, Michigan, that is where I'm from. And it's a pretty small town. We'll just say it's about 20,000 people in way northern Michigan. Small town. But there's quite a few people who support me in this podcast from back home. I think like in terms of, we'll say a sponsorship or something like that, I think there's a lot of opportunity to have people on from back home and promote their business, but also use that to grow the podcast a little bit, and kind of like partner or collaborate to give away something from like their store or their company. And that is a goal in 2026 to do something like that, but I think I'd need to grow the podcast just a little bit more, because it'd be kind of silly to have someone come on with like actual profitable business and the podcast gets like 20 listens. Like it'd be great if they were willing to do that for me, kind of, but I also would like to try to help them out a little bit as well, or they get something out of being on. So I'd like to grow it a little bit. Hopefully maybe by June of 2026, I'm in a spot where I could do some type of partnership or some type of collaboration. So we talked about episodes, some of the partnership stuff that I'd like to try to do in 2026, but maybe we can talk about guests a little bit. I do plan to do at least one more solo episode in 2026, maybe two. This is actually kind of enjoyable. I wasn't expecting it to be enjoyable. Hoping to do like one or two solos in 2026. And then I'd like to try to get like 4 to 5, maybe 6 people that are technically strangers, like I've never met them in person, but maybe we've chatted on Instagram or something. Because I think that's a great way to grow the podcast as well. But I also think it's cool because it's gonna like get me out of my comfort zone a little bit more, and then it kind of rework the way that I do episodes. Like if you're a guest now, typically the way I do it is like I just kind of send over a list of topics, questions that I kind of plan to bring up, but I might not bring all of them up, and it might not be asked in the episode the way that I phrase it in like the email, which is fine. But I think that's worked well because of like who's been on the podcast so far, which everyone with the exception of the ostrich running has been someone like I've known for quite a long time. So it makes the comfort level pretty easy for me. And like the lead up, the prep for that episode is pretty minimal. Like it's not that I don't prep, but like I don't have to put that much into it because I already know the person. So I can come up with questions and have the conversation on the fly. Like quite a few of the people are some of my best friends that have been on the podcast as guests so far. So I'm hoping in 2026 to bring on, we'll say like 5 to 6 strangers, and we'll see what happens there. I think the last thing to talk about is kind of related back to number 1, which was what this year looked like for me. I said basically from January through October, was definitely struggling with my professional part of my life, like my actual career. And so I knew pretty early in 2025 that I was really hoping and trying to find something new. And I said that there's probably 3, 4, 5 opportunities where I was like a final candidate. And then I actually never got an offer from those jobs when I was a final candidate. And I am thankful that I didn't, because my mindset at the time, I would have taken any of those opportunities, because I really wanted a change and I really wanted an out. But I'm thankful that the job that I have now, the company's called Dabble. They're like a sports entertainment, gambling, sports daily fantasy in the US company. They're based in Australia. That's why I'm over here now. And the culture is just unbelievable. It's an accounting role, an in-house accounting role. And from the US standpoint, like am kind of in charge of the taxes and stuff like that, which is what I went to school for, which is what I was doing in my last job. So it's exactly what I wanted. And like, it's crazy. It makes me so much happier. There's so much opportunity to work on the podcast now because I have more time, but then also like, do more things that I enjoy, like running. I have my first 100-mile ultra marathon in February, and truly with my last job from, I don't know, say September to October, it was like getting harder to just get out the door and run, which like I need to feel sane, to feel good. I run a lot now. And yeah, with Dabble, I'm able to get out the door and like do the things I enjoy. Kind of get back to not taking life so seriously as well. Like my last job was big corporate accounting and very serious and very professional, and there was some fun and play to that, like here and there. But you do have to take yourself pretty seriously in that setting and take the people around you pretty seriously. And not that I am not that type of person, but I pride myself in being like a people person, I think, and I like to be around people. And I think for a while that part of me was kind of lacking, and I was losing that a little bit, and now I have it back, and I feel way more energized, way more fulfilled with just life. So yeah, I just wanted to give a big update on that too, because that's why I'm in Australia. I mentioned I'm doing a 100-mile ultra marathon in February. That's in Texas. I've been training for that since like July. Episode 3 guest Evan Bach. He's going to be coming and pacing me. He's done 3 100-milers himself. So yeah, that'll be great. I'll make sure to give some updates on the Instagram, maybe do a solo episode around the race or after the race and talk about it, because it's going to be literally the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So very excited for it, very nervous for it as well. But yeah, that's what this whole year looked like for me. That's what it looked like for the podcast. Yeah, I hope you guys got something out of that or appreciated me sharing that all with you. The last thing is, like a week ago, I asked for questions on the Instagram to talk about in this episode. And when I said earlier that engagement on Instagram is piss poor, literally nobody gave me a question, which I was a little disappointed for. Then I posted it again, like the next day. I was like, oh wow, that's a shame, or whatever I said. I don't know. And I did get one question, and I need to actually, maybe I can do it on my computer. I'll pull it up because I already forgot what it was. And he said, I'm always interested in people's curiosities outside of the field they work in. What's something you like learning about, reading, listening, paying attention to, unrelated to your career? So I already said it, my career is in accounting, and then obviously I have this podcast too. And I've shared a little bit, but I really enjoy running, distance running, road running, trail running. Yeah, and that's a little newer for me. I started that back in like 2021. Before that, I played hockey for literally my whole life. But when I got done playing, figured I'd do something active, not turn into a little chunker, and yeah, just still be an athlete. And so I started running, and I love doing that. I definitely read too, but my attention span for it is not as long as I'd like it to be. And paying attention to, oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, that one I got nothing for. Hockey, but that's not a very interesting answer. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna add to that. But appreciate that question coming in the second round on the story. maybe in 2026, one other goal is to just like post more stories, try to get more engagement that way, which I think is, damn it, I think that's doable. But that's all I got. I just want to say thank you for 7 months of Ordinary Voices. I'm hoping 2026 is even better. But yeah, thanks for listening. Catch you next time.